What is a weird hobby that you've been hiding from your family friends? I've been writing a novel for the past 3 years, spending a good chunk of my time polishing it, researching, getting the tone just right. It has been a challenge because I've been writing it in English. English isn't my first language and I'm a construction worker. That's an amazing achievement. I voice act. My family is mostly non-American and don't know the first thing about voice acting. They've caught me looking like I'm talking to myself doing funny voices and pretty much thought I was nuts. Since then, I've been keeping this hobby away from them. It's not something I tend to do to get the bills paid, as I lack equipment of any kind. I just do it for fun. I like altering my voice and singing songs in different voices. I also just like to be dramatic lol. I record myself reading books aloud, like Berenstain Bears chapter books, Choose Your Own Adventure, Goosebumps, etc. I do the voices, edit out the mistakes, sometimes add music or sound effects. Then I listen to those recordings while doing household tasks, or especially when I can't sleep. Hearing my own voice reading helps me doze off like you wouldn't believe. Whoa, that's interesting. Most people hate their own voices, I think. Lego. I'm old as frick. Lego is for $4.99. I've tried writing short stories. None of them are good enough to share. Put them away for a bit, then go back and read them after they've been out of mind for a good while, with fresh eyes. Either you'll realize they are good, or you'll see how you can edit them to make them good. I collect micro machines, the classic originals from the late 80s. I have probably close to 1,000 of them and I keep them at work so my family doesn't find out and want to play with them. I've been volunteering at a cat shelter for about a year and haven't said anything about it to my friends. It just feels kinda awkward because I'm a 19-year-old dude and most other volunteers are middle-aged women lol. I build virtual houses in The Sims to post on the gallery. I think I'm up to like 8,000 some downloads, which is not that much, but yeah, I post often. On days off when no one's around I might post 5 builds in a day. I just find it super relaxing. I like to flesh everything out with little knickknacks so it looks like real people live there. So yeah, I'm an adult who plays Dollhouse. What about it? As someone who can edit builds but can't build from scratch for crap, thank you. Sewing. Not so much a weird hobby, but my family is pretty old-fashioned, aka really sexist, so as a man they would have a field day if they knew more than half the stuff my wife made for them was actually me. It's really relaxing, satisfying creating stuff, and I save a lot of money never having to throw clothes out. I also sew and am male. However, I tell everyone, I think my proudest moment was when my best friend and his wife asked me to make their kid a baptism dress, and we had a great time where we all worked together and I had them sew the easier parts. I'm a male who likes to collect and use nice soap. But not smelling terrible is for girls. I'm going to turn 60 in March. I feel young, but I have a hobby that might not seem right for my age. Thankfully my spouse, 2 years younger than me, is into it as well. We absolutely love playing video games. We each have our own Nintendo Switches. We are both hooked on Minecraft but have tons of games. Learning Chinese. Waiting for something like a head injury, car accident to pretend that's all I know somehow as a gag. Or maybe I'll just wait till we are at a Chinese restaurant. I create little origami cranes whenever I have the chance. A lot of the time in school I'll find a piece of scrap paper and so I'll rip it into a square and fold up a little intricate paper crane, and then I'll put it somewhere and see how long it will last before being found. A few of my friends know about it, but that's it. My goal is to put these cranes in enough strange places that people start noticing and they'll wonder what the frick is going on. I've managed to hide a few on top of speakers mounted to the wall. I've put some on top of an overhead projector. I hide them on random chairs. I've hid about 6 inside the piano, easily retrievable, so that if anyone opens the lid they'll see them. I've put them on top of school computers and inside science equipment cabinets, on top of shelves and amongst textbooks. I even managed to get one into the teacher's bag. It's funny how people don't notice them. They're hidden in plain sight. I like writing stories. I find it therapeutic since I often write about situations I wish I can be in, or how I'd redo something in my past I regret. I've been practicing Mongolian throat singing for about a year now. Sometimes when I am bored, haven't done it in a while though, I'll put on sunglasses and sit somewhere public that has a lot of foot traffic and watch people. It's absolutely hilarious and can be very entertaining at times. Airports are my favorite places for this. I get to airports extra early when I have a flight to just see all the people being themselves. People are hilarious, and interesting personalities come out when people are trying to get through security. Also, it's fun to speed walk on the people movers and to ride the trams. Stand-up comedy. I text myself funny anecdotes for my never gonna happen comedy set. I don't really do it anymore, but I like to get cheap liquid glue, put it on my fingers or something, then peel it off. It was always strangely therapeutic for me, but I'd be pretty embarrassed getting caught. It's not hiding, I just don't talk about it. I love watching documentaries, YT videos on theme parks, abandoned places, and Disney, especially the theme parks. You sounds exactly like a friend of mine, only he talks about it non-stop. It's his passion. Theme parks and haunted houses lol. The amount of hours that man has put in RC Tycoon is insane. I have a lot of weird hobbies, but the only one I don't tell people about is that I talk to myself a lot. Like, full blown, never gonna happen scenario conversations for 30+ minutes at a time. Always have since I was a kid. I'd be embarrassed if I got busted talking to myself like a freaking lunatic. But I have worked myself through some personal crap on more than one occasion just by being able to say my problems out loud, even if no one is listening. Honestly, I blame it on my ADHD, but what do I know? I write erotica stories for myself, but the system I have in place is so convoluted and bizarre I can't let any of the people in my life know about it. But I have internal conversations with characters from my favorite shows, YouTubers, or people I know to help me make decisions. Like, I take their hypothetical advice, but I know I'm the one controlling what they say. It's hard to explain. That I rewatch all those cartoons that I loved when I was a kid but in English, so I can have fun and be nostalgic while learning language. This is such a great way to learn a language. Many ESL teachers always suggested this to their students. Online roleplay. Normally not erotic but super in-depth roleplay about fictional worlds and the adventure I have with people I normally don't meet. I've made friends from thus and it's fun. It may not be the weirdest but it's abnormal at most. I have written 2 books. I am currently writing a third. 2 are self-help books and 1 fiction. I haven't even told my fiancé about these and the one I'm currently working on is How Not to Flip Your Shitty While Planning a Wedding. Working title but you get the drift. I'll never publish them. Just helps me work through all the thoughts in my head. I create stories in my head. Subject matter varies and I never write them down but believe me I remember all of them. Sometimes I quietly talk them out to myself both to make sure it makes sense and that any dialogue I come up with sounds right. When I'm bored I play music to fantasize on while I walk in circles. If I don't walk in circles or move in any way I can't fantasize, so I only do it in my room and make sure my footsteps are not heard. The problem is that I always think of parallel universes and such, and if I don't stay enough in the real world I sometimes just start walking faster out of nowhere and then you can clearly hear me walking in my room. So then I just sit down acting like I had to walk over to grab something and don't continue for like another 5 minutes to avoid being suspicious. Programming. I feel like they would expect me to become the next big thing or something while I just want to make funny little games to troll my friends. Some days, at work, I'll challenge myself to only use my left hand, or never bend my right knee, or not use my thumbs at all. It started when I wondered to myself if I could still function normally if I lost an arm, and then escalated to all kinds of potential amputations or mobility losses. It's weird, I know, but I think it does help me see the world from another perspective, and be thankful for the functional body I have. I do this when I'm getting ready sometimes. Don't know if I'd consider it a hobby, but I think it's such an interesting thought experiment and also just shows you how much we take for granted sometimes. Fashion and makeup. Growing up, I went through a tomboy phase. Regret it quite a lot. I was always seen as someone who didn't like fashion and didn't wear makeup. Now that I am becoming more comfortable with myself, I am experimenting with these things and I quite like them. Songwriting. Only people who are closest have a clue that I write songs sometimes. And now all you strangers know. So in a way, you guys are closer to me than my family. My love of prepping. They call me a nut and a conspiracy theorist as it is. They don't need to know. Fanfiction writing. Fanfiction reading. Collecting action figures. I talk to my reflection in the mirror when I am in the bathroom, either before I take a shower or after one. I don't try to hide it, and it's also not what you call really weird, yet it's weird to where if my mother sees me doing it, she becomes unsettled by it. I honestly started doing it to get over my anxiety about talking to people. It helps your anxiety till the reflection tilts its head the other way. That I follow daily Iraq news since 2017. I have gathered many sources and websites where I check every day while sipping tea. It's became my routine and I don't think I can ever leave it. Pretty boring compared to other but still a weird hobby. I really enjoy discovering and researching weird fetishes. I have seen a lot of disturbing stuff and somehow I still get surprised by stuff people get aroused by. I also had a lot of awakenings. I make teeth out of clay. When I'm in the bath I'll pretend I've been drugged and can barely move and have to release the water using my toe to pull the plug. Or I'll just pretend to be an enclosed whale. I don't know why. I'm almost 30. I don't know if this counts but I used to make catalogs of people. I had some pretty bad social interaction issues, so I used it to keep track of information about people. It was like a folder in my brain in each person. It's subconscious now, but occasionally I'll bring up something super specific and people either think it's sweet or really freaking weird. I roleplay with one of my bestest friends. I haven't told my parents or any of my other friends about it, and when I bring it up I call it a book online I've been reading. This roleplay has been going for about 4 years and the world we made is so in-depth. It's basically torn from its source material and could be its own standalone story. I keep multiple quotes in a document on my iPad, as well as multiple facts about the characters like birthdays and even how many concussions they've had. Candles. I love the light flickering from them and they help me relax. I watch anime, read manga and light novels, and listen to J-pop. Even though I'm Japanese, I've never shared this info with any of my friends. From fear that I'll be judged heavily. Anime and manga have gotten slightly more popular recently, and I've definitely overheard some people at my school talking about it, but no one in my friend group. I was very embarrassed when one of my friends saw my anime Spotify playlist and I played it off as if I was into Japanese music in general. I always wanted to share my interest with someone else but it's kinda too late now. I really want to change and show my true self more when I enter college next year. Being a professional pillow fighter. It's not a hobby if you're professional. I'm really onto urban exploration and gaining access to abandoned or long forgotten spaces. It's not all that dangerous per se, but can be precarious. And if my folks knew I would never hear the end of it. Giving out unbelievable amounts of fake currency on Reddit. Just kidding, that wasn't me. You have been visited by the Doggo Beer Master. Comment delicious so you always have beer in your life. Thanks for watching. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.